What's your ethnic background?
I am Puerto Rican descent. Both my parents were born in Puerto Rico. I'm first generation born in the United States. And I do consider myself Puerto Rican.
Do you check any boxes off?
When I do, I check off Latino. Black, I hate checking boxes. To be honest with you.
Okay. What would you say are some of the stereotypes with your ethnicity?
Depends who you talk to, because most people think Puerto Ricans are from Spain, and if you know the history of Puerto Rico, it breaks off into three categories. There's the Taína, which is the native of the island. There's the Spaniards who invaded, and then there's the Africans who were brought in, of course, through slavery. That they're lazy, that they on welfare all the time, that they don't know how to take care of things, especially where I came from in the Bronx. In the area where I was born, it was a giant dump. And, fortunately, a lot of, because of low income, that's where we lived, that's where we were from. And most Puerto Ricans, when they migrated from Puerto Rico, migrated right into those areas in New York City.
Do you feel like there's a difference between Puerto Ricans from Puerto Rico and Puerto Ricans who are...
There is a big difference. Even when you go to the island, Puerto Ricans are treat. A lot of times they'll ask, every time I go to Puerto Rico, I'm asked, you from the U.S.? And I'm like, yeah. But we were brought up speaking Spanish in the household from when I was a child. And so I speak, they assume right away that I'm from Puerto Rico, but they know that I have this funny accent. So that gives me away.
Okay. Would you consider the stereotypes / misconceptions cultural flaws or individual shortcomings?
I think they're individual shortcomings. Some Puerto Ricans that are blue-eyed, blonde hair, who don't want to feed into the fact that there are, dark-skinned Latinos, and then there are those dark-skinned Latinos that we are true believers that we are Puerto Rican and we do support our African heritage. You go to my family reunion, everybody looks like me. On our t-shirts, we have Puerto Rican flag on one side, the African flag, the continent of Africa on the back. So it'll be printed like right on top of it. So we do recognize the fact that we are originated from Africa.
What would you say are some of the struggles you face as a Puerto Rican man?
My skin being the way it is, when I was in the military, I've dealt with situations. One particular story that stands out to me is we broke down, we were in a convoy, my truck ran out of gas, the convoy kept going, we had to go to a gas station, and this was in Kentucky. We had to go to a gas station and get gas. They would not give us gas. It was myself, a young man from Alabama who was African American, and a kid from Mississippi who was white. We sent the white kid in. They saw that he was with us. We didn't get no gas. They would not give us gas. They told that young boy, you with a couple of dollars, you're not getting any gas from this gas station. So that's one of the things that I've dealt with. I've dealt with things like that, the things that are happening today that you see on TV. I'm very familiar with, and it gives me a real funny feeling in the pit of my stomach when I see those things, because I'm constantly reminded of how I've been treated because of my skin color.
What would you say defines you?
My culture defines me. Very proud Puerto Rican. And I'm more so because of my skin color. I'm a dark-skinned Puerto Rican with freckles, and there's not many out there. And when people ask me what I am, and I tell them that I'm Puerto Rican, and it's mind-boggling. No, you can't be, really, and I'm like, yes, I really am. I almost sometimes feel like I need to wear a flag to have people recognize where I'm from and who I am.
You feel like it's important for people immigrating from Puerto Rico or Americanized, learning to speak the language?
I feel that it is super important that if people are deciding to move from Puerto Rico here, at least learn the language. It makes things a heck of a lot easier. Unfortunately, there are those people that don't want Latinos or people from other countries here, and they're gonna have to deal with that. It's everywhere, unfortunately. It doesn't matter where you go, you're gonna have to deal with it. But if you do come here from another country, it's super important to learn the language, learn the laws, and there's certain things that you have to abide by. And learning the language is a key if you want to be able to, get benefits or get a job.
Do you feel like you deal with a lot of discrimination within your own culture?
Absolutely. I was just in Puerto Rico in April, and I went to a mall. One of the places where you find folks with darker skin in Puerto Rico is Loíza. It just happens to be the place where Africans migrated to when they landed here in Puerto Rico. That's where they landed, and most of them stayed in that area of Puerto Rico. So when you go to Puerto Rico, Loíza is normally where you find those people look like they just came from Africa. That's where my folks originated from. And so, like I said, I went to a mall, and the woman behind the counter was, fair skin, blue eyes, blonde hair, and the first thing she said to me was, "Are you from Loíza?" I'm actually from the U.S. She's like, "Oh, I thought you were from Loíza," and I fessed up that my family was originally from there.
Okay.
But yes, there is, to say the least, yeah.
So bettering the race or improving the race, what do you think about that? You give me the definitions that you know of.
My
I know
definition of mejorar la raza is to better yourself. Go to school, educate yourself. You might find some racist folks that means eliminate the whole black population in Puerto Rico.
Meaning
that might be how they may better their race.
Ethnic cleansing?
Yes, ethnic cleansing, like most racist folks believe that all African Americans, Asians, anything that is not, what is the word I'm looking for? Pure white, from Germany type, should be eliminated.
Is it important to pass on your ethnic culture?
Absolutely. It started when I was born here in the United States. I was born in the Bronx, Lincoln Hospital. My mother and my dad brought me up speaking Spanish till I was 5. I learned English in school. And that was a strong belief of my dad. He'll learn English, or they'll learn English because it was my sister and I. I unfortunately have failed as far as the Spanish speaking part because I do teach my son Spanish, but my son tells everyone he's Puerto Rican. He is Puerto Rican and Italian, but he tells everyone he's Puerto Rican. He's very proud. He loves going to New York. He loves going to Puerto Rico. But, letting him experience the culture and how people live in Puerto Rico, how people have their own land and like they'll grow their own foods and the smell of Puerto Rico when you first get off that plane, the heat, all that he remembers, and I think it was important for me to introduce him to that so that he knows where he's from.
Having a child that is of 2 different ethnicities, a balanced experience from both, do you feel, or do you feel like he's more concentrated on the Puerto Rican side?
No, he gets a balance of both. He loves Spanish food. I cook for him all the time. If he could eat, if he had a choice of what food he'd eat, he'd probably eat rice and beans every single day. So he's very familiar with his culture.
And the last question, what does freedom mean to you?
Freedom. It's scary because I've been questioning freedom the last few weeks because of what's been going on in this country. Freedom means free to do as long as you're following, your rights, to be able to go places without any rules, without any stipulations. I feel even as I've served this military of the United States for 8 years, I'm a veteran, and I still feel that sometimes I'm limited with my freedom. Police scare me, and I don't feel like I should be scared of any police officer, especially after serving this country 8 years. When it's a police officer that's involved, it's your freedom that's at question, and it's your word against him. And in my situations, it's always the cops that win. Growing up a child of the 60s, that's all you ever heard about, and the wars were going on. It's almost a repetition of what's going on, and so I do have a lot of questions about that particular word, freedom, because I feel like freedom can be taken from you at any moment.